What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about the best sports that football players should play in the offseason. So, guys, we're going to go through position group by position group and talk about the benefits of playing maybe some other sports in the offseason if you're looking to play another sport and what these other sports I feel will do for your actual football game. So, let's start with defensive players. So, let's start with like defensive line, linebackers, and maybe I'll also throw safeties in there as well. I would recommend playing either rugby or doing wrestling in the offseason. So the reason why I say rugby is just simply because I feel a lot of football players are not taught proper tackling form at a young age. I feel like football is one of those weird sports where it's like there's like everybody loves to talk about the head injuries and the injuries from football, but they don't spend hardly any time teaching their guys how to tackle. And I shouldn't generalize and say everybody, because there are some great coaches out there and some great youth coaches out there, but in rugby, they spend thousands of hours on proper tackling form, and that's honestly what I would like you guys to focus on as defensive players, because again, if you know how to tackle, that only can help you with your skills, but it can help you avoid injuries. Now, I say wrestling as well, just because I feel like there's some also added benefits of knowing how to take somebody down when it comes to tackling as well, and wrestling can aid with your grip strength when tackling somebody and taking somebody down. So I put wrestling in that criteria as well, or that category. But rugby, I'm telling you guys, is one of the best things that defensive players can do. Now let's get into some other offensive positions. Now, before we get into that, fellas, if you are a quarterback or wide receiver watching this video and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches, we are going to be traveling out to 9 more cities this off-season for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So, guys, if you'd like to sign up to work with myself and my staff of coaches, I will be at every single camp. Our staff will be working with you one-on-one, giving you individualized coaching, individualized reps, and just honestly trying to help your game improve the best we possibly can. Go to that very first link in the description below. That's where you can sign up and get information on all the states we are going to. Now, all of our camps, guys, will sell out probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, simply because we limit spots so we can give you individualized coaching. It's hard to coach up each athlete individually when we have 150 people out there, so we don't do that. So, guys, our next camp is going to be in Seattle, Washington. That camp is sold out. They'll be heading out to Chicago, Illinois, Newark, New Jersey, Birmingham, Alabama, Houston, Texas, Boston, Massachusetts, Columbus, Ohio, Boise, Idaho, and finishing off the tour in Los Angeles, California. So, guys, want some more information? Again, how you could sign up, very first link in that description below. We'd love to see you there. So let's talk about quarterbacks, you guys. So if you're a quarterback, I would say probably best sport for you to play in the offseason could be baseball. Now, I don't mean being a pitcher. I think a lot of times quarterbacks are naturally pitchers, especially at the youth level. Like the arm strength that you get from pitching and playing travel ball and playing in tournaments translates over to quarterback, I guess you could say, well. But especially when you get to an older level, or a higher level, I should say, it's a lot of mileage on your arm. And you see so many baseball players having to get Tommy John surgery. It's happening at much younger levels. Quarterbacks are injuring their elbows, their shoulders. A lot of bad things are happening in the youth football and baseball world with arm injuries, right? And I feel like that's a lack of mechanics, but also I feel like sometimes it's just a lot of mileage on your arm. So I don't recommend pitching. I recommend playing like outfield or middle infield, because, that can help sometimes with arm angle throws. You see guys like Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, who have baseball backgrounds, who throw with those arm angle throws, but also hitting a baseball is mechanically very similar to throwing a football. Like when you hit a baseball, you take a step to the pitcher, you keep the bat back, and then what happens? Your hips go through, whipping the bat through. That's what you do when you throw a football. You stride to the you stride to the receiver, your shoulders go back, hands separate, and then your hips bring the shoulders through. So it's really the same mechanical sequence. So baseball can be highly beneficial at the quarterback position for maybe some not so obvious reasons. Now let's talk about the receivers and the DBs. So receiver DB, I mean, you guys are obviously skill players. You have speed, you're quick, you're shifty, you need to work on your vertical jump. So track is probably what I'd recommend for you. I recommend track for everybody, like running backs as well. I recommend track for, just because, it helps with just general speed, explosiveness, power, all those things can translate. Now, I will say this about running track. That's not the be-all, end-all. I think a lot of football players just automatically assume, hey, I need to run track. And yes, it can help, don't get me wrong. But I feel like if you have a bad track program at your school, it can be a little bit of a waste of time. Just because I ran track in high school, you guys, and the head track coach was like a Spanish teacher, not the most well-versed. He was good at throwing. He was like 6'5". He understood throws, like shot put, disc, all that stuff. We always had good guys doing that every year. But he wasn't much of a sprints coach. And they hired on a sprints coach, but it was just a lot of cardio, guys. It was like just running hundreds, 200s, 400s. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. Like, you get in good shape. Don't get me wrong. And you get shredded if you're that type of body type. But, like, it's just a big waste of time. I would have rather gone to a speed trainer 2 times a week and then taken those workouts that would improve my running mechanics, the plyometrics that we did, the speed training that we did with the, and go apply that on my own time. And then train like 3-4 times a week with the drills that he gave me. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a better use of your time. Might cost a little more money than track, but at the same time, your time is money, right, you guys? So run track if you feel like you have a good program. If you don't, I would avoid it. Now, another thing receivers and DBs could play is probably like basketball. I think basketball can help with like twitchiness off the ball, general quickness, lateral quickness. Could be good for a running back as well. And also can help with vertical jump with the amount of plyometric training that you probably do on the basketball team, okay? So that's what I'd say for receivers, DBs. Now, offensive line, it's a tricky one. I mean, I think for offensive line, if you guys probably rugby, because there's blocking involved in rugby. So I would say rugby's probably a good one for the O linemen as well. I know I leave them out sometimes. And then for kickers, I know I always get people asking about kickers in these videos. Kickers, you already know the answer. Probably playing soccer in the offseason. But I hope this is able to help you guys. If you guys are looking for a sport in the offseason, this is great. But by all means, if you just want to stick to football and lift and train in the offseason, that works out too.